Hey guys, I know it's been a quick turnaround, but everything is really busy here on the track, and I know these teams probably agree. Things are always happening. I swear, you turn your back for 2 seconds and something's going on. So I turned my back right around and I was able to catch up with Covenant Christian Academy's team. They have 2 teams. We have heard from them yesterday, if you remember. Yesterday we were mostly talking about their classic car, but today we want to talk a little bit about their advanced car and hear from some of their team members who've been able to represent this really awesome venture that they've had. It's my understanding that you guys have been working on these cars, you're building new cars and working on it, and your advanced car has been a newer adventure for you guys. Will you walk me through a little bit about some of the features of your advanced car, just in a broad understanding, and what it's like to have an advanced car?
So with our advanced car, it was really a big jump from the original car that we had built in 2017 and kept modifying. We turned into an aluminum monocoque chassis, being folded up aluminum, which is actually very different, a lot less welding, a lot more riveting. It's kind of like World War II aircraft technology, and so it's just kind of like going back in time, and it's just really cool, and I think it's a very rewarding experience and very fun that anybody can kind of jump in and help out.
That's awesome. Do you want to add anything about kind of the advanced car and how it's different from your classic car?
Well, it's nice that we can add that speed using our lithium-ion batteries. It just makes it a lot more fun out on the track to go faster because it feels like a real race, you know? And it just feels super great to race a car that you built yourself.
Yeah, I can't even imagine, because I did once race a team, but I can't even imagine what it's like to be here this year after everything the teams have been going through over the past 2 to 3 years now, really. What has it been like for your team, and kind of how are you where you are now?
Well, basically we had built our original advanced car for 2019 to be able to race it in that race, and so we were working on it 2018 to 2019. And so we basically were focusing on making any modifications. Perhaps you've seen our bubble cockpit that we've added this year, the Aero kit, as well as a new and improved charge controller. Although we did have major issues right before, like during scrutineering, we let the magic smoke out of the charge controller, so we pulled all-nighter, fixing that and replacing it with the old system. And despite basically doing a downgrade from what we had just upgraded, we're still actually outperforming and doing incredible. So I'm still very glad.
That's awesome, and I know we've talked to some of the teams about scrutineering and what that experience is like. It is hard. It's hard to explain just how much work getting through scrutineering is and how passing scrutineering in itself is such an accomplishment. Do you want to elaborate a little bit on the experience of scrutineering and kind of how excited you guys are now to be out on the track with both your cars?
Yes, scrutineering can be brutal. They dissect every part of the car and you break rules you didn't know existed, and it's miserable until you pass, and then you are so excited to race.
It's awesome. I'm glad you guys are able to safely be out there and race, passing scrutineering, knowing you're good to go. And I know you guys put a lot of work into your advanced car to get it to that point. How exciting is it to see your advanced car, and is it performing in the way that you were expecting it to perform?
Whenever we had built the original car, as you may know, we actually split into a JV and a varsity team, and so varsity was only seniors, and so I didn't even get to race the car. And so at first I was kind of sad, but I'm glad I had that experience to be able to race our old car. But being able to come back and race this car that I had worked on years earlier, and as team captain with a new team, it's just really rewarding. And even though we had the issues with the charge controller, I'm just glad to be here, be able to call it our own, you know.
I don't think I have anything.
No, awesome. Now, real quick, before we keep going, we've been talking about your 2 cars, and I know a lot of people have noticed potentially. Both your cars look very similar in design. They're not the same, of course, but aesthetically, from the distance, they do look very similar. Will you explain to me real quick, I've heard it before, and for everybody listening, how can you tell your 2 cars apart if you're watching as a viewer?
Well, I put racing stripes on the front. So the orange is the JV car, the Advanced Classic, and the blue is our varsity car.
So you heard it, guys. You got to look for the nose, the front end of that car, and you look for that stripe, and you should be able to tell which team you're cheering on. Of course, while you're cheering on both teams, naturally. Speaking of which, what is it like to coordinate having 2 cars on the track? There's not a lot of teams out here that are doing that. Currently, I believe we only have 3 schools that are represented that have, 2 separate cars that they're racing together. Is it challenging having 2 cars and splitting kind of that knowledge base on the team, and what have you guys kind of worked through in order to be able to do that successfully?
Well, when you're working during the year, we actually spend a lot of time on both cars as a team, and it's only really at the race that we do the splitting up. Being able to separate into a varsity and junior varsity team is actually something that as a once junior varsity captain, I'd say it's a really rewarding experience and actually the right move rather than splitting into two equally separated teams. Not to say that they're less, and just to say, they're less experienced. And so it's just a really good way to give responsibility and leadership to up and coming leaders in the teams.
That's awesome, and I know a couple teams have mentioned on this, so I'd like to hear kind of your perspective. In terms of experience, with missing last year's race, there are a lot of teams that are feeling a little on the younger side in terms of experience this year, and we do have a couple brand new teams who are performing really, really well, and it's really awesome to see that. What can you speak to on your car in terms of people you may have lost or experienced, and are you struggling in that way, or have you found ways to overcome that?
Well, I think no matter how many times you've been to the race, there's definitely a learning experience. But for the new people, I think they should just try to have a great time, and we love having them here. Every team here is just so nice, and we just love getting to spend time with everyone. And so it's great to see everyone when they come back, and it's great to see people, new faces and stuff.
That's so awesome to hear. And we're on day 2, right? And we're now in the afternoon of day 2. So we have more to go, but we're already almost pretty much halfway there at this point. So in terms of looking at your car, and you've gone this far, you've gone through scrutineering, can you name something that maybe you have learned so far since coming to the race, either about your car, about yourself, or maybe your team, that maybe you weren't expecting when you first entered this race? Is there anything that kind of popped up that you guys have looked at and gone, wow, this is different, and now that we're experiencing it, being out on the track, going through scrutineering, we now know these things?
This isn't necessarily to do with the car, but as basically one of 2 returning team members, I was honestly a little bit worried to see the future of the team and like where it was going to go and who was going to be interested. And so getting on new people, I was a little bit worried coming up to the race, but that JV team, like I was saying, has taken it very well. They've done an outstanding job. And even the people on the varsity team, even who've come in these past 2 years, they've done an awesome job as well. And so I'm just really proud to call them my teammates.
Awesome. Do you want to add to that as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think the exact same thing. I think everyone who has come to the challenge, the Solar Car Challenge for the first time, is doing extremely well, especially given last year's circumstances. I mean, we got more time to work on our car in between races, and so I'm pretty sure that gave them a leg up. But as far as the learning curve goes, I think we all have a lot to learn every single year. And for the new teams, I think they can gather a lot just by talking to some of the more experienced teams and just watching around, because I have definitely learned a lot just by watching the race.
Yeah, and you're talking about other teams. I know the advanced division cars are always kind of a spectacle to watch. They always look a little different, a lot of times really cool, and flying around the track at different speeds. And I've seen your car doing really, really well, so it's been really awesome. Have you guys gotten to see and talk or hang out with any of the other advanced teams, or any of the other teams at all at the race? And what's it like kind of getting to see all the other teams, and do you feel that kind of community that you're surrounded by?
So with COVID, it's just been a general suppressedness of like kind of being able to go out and talk with people at the hotel and stuff like that, just because of separation. But I mean, even during the race, I've been happy to be able to make time with even some people that we would consider our top competitors, being able to talk with them, laugh with them and say, I love your car, it looks great. Like, talk about different things. Oh, why'd you make this decision? It's just a really fun experience. And whenever you first start, you're kind of like too focused on the team and you're kind of like against them. But when you return and you see faces every year, you're kind of like, wow, like it's just a mutual respect that is just kind of unparalleled, I would say.
I just completely agree. I think it's great once you see their faces again. You think, oh, they're just like me. We're in the same boat here, or in the same car.
Yeah, no, totally. And I know I've talked to a bunch of different teams about how with this real practical experience you're getting, it can look a little different than just going to school and learning these things. And not everybody gets these opportunities. Do you want to elaborate just on kind of what you think makes being on a solar car so different from an educational standpoint? And what are you getting here that really makes you want to keep doing it, right? What are you getting out of this that may be different than not being a part of solar car?
There is nothing like solar car. The skills you learn the responsibilities that you're trusted with, and just really being able to see like just an assurance. It's kind of like your first real world engagement, and seeing like I can do this. And even if you don't go into engineering, it's just a great experience for all the skills that you learn. So.
Awesome. Do you want to talk about that too?
Yes, so no matter how many engineering classes you take, having an actual hands-on experience where you get to design, build, and race your own car is a completely different thing, and I have learned infinitely more about the things I'm interested in with engineering here than I have in any class, just because it's been completely my own and I've gotten to make it real.
That's so awesome. It sounds like you're both pretty passionate about being a part of this, which is wonderful to hear. And I was curious if kind of extending upon that idea, do you feel like being a part of this and learning in this different way, has that had an impact on what you maybe want to pursue and what you're interested in as you follow through? Being in high school, you know, you're in high school, but potentially as you start to grow up and think about what you might be interested in, what you want to do you feel like Solar Car has had any impact on figuring out kind of what you're passionate about?
Well, I've always kind of just thought, oh, I would like to be an engineer. It's not necessarily that I'm just insanely talented at the math, STEM subjects or anything like that. It's just I've always just kind of thought it was just so interesting and stuff like that. And so being able to come to Solar Car, it's just really kind of strengthened that and kind of accelerated that, if that's the right word. And so I've just really been excited about that and very glad that I've been able to experience this.
That's awesome. And have you felt kind of that passion propel you to what you're interested in?
Yes, I definitely did. I have always been interested in aviation, but this is a really good branch into that because I'm planning on studying aerospace. But there's no introduction like this. This is really something awesome.
That's awesome, and I'm so glad to hear that. I think with it being so hot outside, I know I'm going to get some water in me as soon as possible. I will let you guys go ahead and get back to your team with one last question. We've got the rest of your team in the back. We've talked to your team before, and I know you guys have gone pretty far to get here. Are there any thank yous you might want to say to anybody at all while we're on our live stream and people watching at home maybe cheering you guys on?
I want to say thank you to Mr. Mark for that fateful day in 2017 whenever you decided to let us use your shop and to combine forces with us. There's no way on earth we would ever have gotten where we got without you.
I just want to thank my team, my entire team, because they're my best friends, and I want to thank my family for supporting me also, because my whole family is involved in this as well, and I'm just really grateful.
That's awesome. Well, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to hang out on this very busy day. I wish you guys the best of luck and the best for your advanced car and your classic car. I'll keep an eye on the nose of the vehicle so that I'm cheering on the right one. I really appreciate it. And we'll go ahead and wave goodbye and talk to everybody very soon. Bye-bye.